You know that feeling when you walk into a room and instantly know something is off? No one is shouting, there's no drama, but your brain has already finished a full body scan of everyone there. You notice the half-second hesitation before a friend smiles. You hear the hidden, fake energy in a co-worker's greeting. You pick up on a tone shift that everyone else completely missed. While others are just living the moment, you are analyzing it. You're tracking it. You're predicting exactly where it's going to lead. Most people think this is a superpower. They call you perceptive or emotionally intelligent. But for you, it feels like a psychological trap. It's an engine that never shuts off. You lie awake at 2 a.m., replaying a conversation that ended 10 hours ago. You dissect a 3-second pause in a text message until it becomes an entire universe of potential problems. If you've ever asked yourself, why can't I just turn my mind off? This is for you. Today, we're decoding the psychology of people who are too aware. We're looking at why your brain does this, the hidden cost of seeing too much, and how to finally find some mental rest. First, we need to define what's actually happening in your head. In psychology, this is often called metacognition, which is basically thinking about your own thinking. Everyone does this occasionally, but for you, it's involuntary and constant. You don't just feel an emotion, you notice the emotion, question it, and evaluate whether it even makes sense to feel that way. Researchers generally split this sharp awareness into 2 categories. The first is internal self-awareness. This is your ability to tune into your own thoughts and values. When it's balanced, it's great for growth. When it's overactive, it leads to hyper self-awareness, where you're constantly scrutinizing your own actions like a silent judge sitting in the corner of your mind. The second is external self-awareness. This is how well you understand how others see you. For a highly aware person, this often turns into hypervigilance. You become a human radar station, always scanning for social shifts or emotional weather patterns. The result? You're participating in life, but half of your brain is floating near the ceiling, taking notes and comparing details. It's like trying to dance while staring at your reflection in a mirror to fix your posture. You might not miss a step, but you've lost the sense of flow. So, why did your brain become this way? For some, it's inborn. Science calls this sensory processing sensitivity. You were born as a highly sensitive person, meaning your nervous system is like an ultra-fine filter that absorbs everything in high resolution. But for many, this level of awareness is an inheritance of survival. If you grew up in an environment where mood shifted like the weather, maybe a parent who was fine 1 minute and enraged the next, you couldn't afford to be innocent. You had to learn how to read subtle clues to stay safe. Maybe you memorized the sound of car tires in the driveway to know if your father was coming home drunk or sober. Maybe you learned to measure the coldness in the way a kitchen cabinet was slammed. Your brain's danger alarm, the amygdala, was on constant overdrive. It recorded a message. This environment isn't safe. I have to keep scanning. This is why, as an adult, you notice everything. That shield of awareness protected you as a child, but now it's fused to your skin. It's not a flaw. It's a very smart nervous system doing exactly what it was trained to do. Neurologically, this shows up in your default mode network. This is the system that handles self-reflection. In most people, it turns on during rest. In you, it's like an engine that never shuts off. Even during your downtime, your brain is essentially always online, auditing your life and drafting responses to conversations that haven't even happened yet. Here is the psychological paradox of your life. The very habit that makes you empathetic and perceptive is the same habit that quietly drains you. Psychologists have found that people who ruminate more actually score higher in cognitive empathy. You are remarkably attuned to social nuance and the unspoken emotional texture of a room. But there's a cost. First, emotional contagion. You don't just notice other people's pain, you absorb it. If someone on the bus is anxious, your heart starts beating faster. You become an emotional container for everyone else's stress. Second, the loss of relational innocence. It's hard to fully trust the surface of words. When someone gives you a compliment, your brain instantly scans for their hidden motives. You see the backstage of human behavior, and that can make you feel incredibly lonely. even in a crowd. And finally, the illusion of progress. Your brain releases dopamine when you're problem solving. This tricks you into thinking that replaying a situation 100 times is productive, but you're actually just looping without reaching a resolution. This is the part you need to hear. Awareness is not the same as accuracy. Just because you noticed a tone shift doesn't mean your interpretation of it is right. Awareness without curiosity is just a sophisticated form of assumption. You might construct an entire narrative about why someone is mad at you, only to find out they just had a headache. Furthermore, insight is not healing. You can intellectually explain why you are anxious, where the trauma came from, and what pattern you're repeating, and still feel the weight in your chest. True healing doesn't happen through understanding more. It happens through integration. This means moving the awareness from your head down into your body and teaching your nervous system that it is finally safe enough to rest. So, how do you live with a mind that sees everything? First, remember that action ends rumination. Thinking has a limit. The moment you start replaying scenarios endlessly, you need to move. Send the text, take the walk, or make the call. Second, practice grounding. When you catch yourself narrating your own life, ask, what do I feel physically right now? Switch from, why am I like this? To, what do I need? Finally, learn to set emotional boundaries with your own insights. Just because you see someone's insecurity doesn't mean you have to be the therapist. Just because you notice a silence doesn't mean it's a hidden message you need to solve. You were never too aware. You were just a strategist who learned to survive a world that felt unpredictable. Your hyper-awareness isn't a flaw, it's a gift that's waiting for your compassion. You don't need to be less aware. You just need to feel safer being yourself. Stop trying to carry the weight of the whole world's equations on your shoulders. The game isn't over, it's only just begun.